And today I am bringing you one topic that keeps you one step away or 10 steps away from that dubious land seller who wants to infringe on your right, on your constitutional right to ownership of landed property. Yes, you have a constitutionally provided, enclosed, protected, guaranteed right to own a land in Nigeria. And welcome back to my channel. My name is Z, and on this channel I do everything vlogs, living in a way, and how to keep you away from trouble when it comes to all the legal issues you should know. In simple terms, we're going to talk about how to avoid land disputes generally. As you well know, here in Nigeria, a lot of people end up with unwanted court cases, not as a result of being troublemakers, but for the mere fact that they wanted to exercise their constitutional right to ownership of lands in Nigeria. So they are now dragged into years of unending legal battles as to title over that land. Now, it is easier for a needle to pass through a camel's back than for you to get a land free from any encumbrance. But there are certain ways, or there are certain things that I'm going to point out to you in this video that would be pointers to you whenever you decide to get that piece of land. So now let's get right into this video. And need I say that this is coming from a lawyer's perspective, so you are in safe hands. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Right there. So nothing can flow from a nullity. What do I mean by that? It means that nothing can flow from something that is already void ab initio. If you're buying, there are ways to get land. You can buy land from an individual, a family, a company, or it could be allocated to you by the federal government or the state government. Now, if you're buying a land from an individual, usually, in terms of practice now in a way, what you would usually get is a power of attorney, at best an irrevocable power of attorney. Now, a power of attorney, I must note at this point, is not the best title to land. I'm not saying it doesn't give you title or it doesn't indicate your interest to land. No, it actually shows or indicates that you have an interest over that piece of land, right? But it is not a good title to land. In fact, it is not even the best. If you ask me, coming from a lawyer's perspective, I would actually advise you to get a deed of assignment. But because of the rigorous process attached to that form or to that method of acquisition, people want to go through the smoother or the narrower route, and that is the power of attorney. Now, if you go with the power of attorney, you could be safe. There are other ways to regularize your process and give you a bit of an edge over any meddlesome interloper or trespasser or a third party who comes to claim title to that land. Now, if you register a title, it doesn't automatically give you an edge per se, but some sort of edge, because it has to do with the date of registration and all that. So if your power of attorney is accompanied with registration, then to some extent you are free, or you are certain that you have an interest over every other third party or trespasser or meddlesome interloper, as we would call it. If you are getting a land from an individual, there is also some things you need to note. How did that land devolve on the person? Now, someone can acquire land, one, by allocation by the federal government or the state government, like I said earlier. Two, by inheritance from your parents, from your guardians, from someone who loves you. I mean, anybody can even inherit from anybody. You just have to be stated in the will, or the person has to state it somewhere that he's giving you that land. The land flows from a will. If the land flows from a will to someone, this is good and fine. It is better that you cite the will, you understand, where the person's name was stated, or if the person has regularized the process of registration in his name, then you are home and dry, because that will be stated in what is called the recital to a deed of assignment, or like a power of attorney, it is also stated there as well. So in your recital, it will state actually how that land flowed from your ancestors to the person who currently owns it. Now, that is part of the will. But if the land or if the individual got that land as a result of a letter of administration, letters of administration is not a title to land. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I'm there to tell you. For which he was given that estate to administer. Simply put, a letter of administration is not a title to land. Now, in a layman's term, a letter of administration simply is an authority or an authorization permitting the named person in that letter to administer the stated estates in that person's in that letter of administration. Let's say a person owns 10 plots of land or 100 pieces of properties scattered abroad. A letter of administration could be administered to administer just one property of that person. A letter of administration does not give the administrator power over all the properties of the person except otherwise stated. Now, if the person's authority or permission is flowing from a letter of administration, please ensure that the person, letter of administration is actually very dicey. Ensure that that letter of administration in itself wasn't gotten through a void judgment, because indeed a letter of administration is a judgment of the court. Although gotten ex parte, it's not something that you have to go to court for, but it is one of the jurisdictions of the court. So a letter of administration in itself is a judgment of the court. Now, be sure that that letter of administration, which is under oath, because there are a lot of processes you have to go through and then other things you have to swear and everything, be sure that that letter of administration wasn't administered through a voidable or a void means. Now, what do I have to say about this? I'm just going to go just a little bit. Be sure that the person who owns or the person who is named in that letter of administration was actually given permission by other members of the family, other age members of the family. What I mean age, who are of age, yes, who are no longer minors and stuff, was actually, there's a way that the letter of, okay, now this is where you need to get a lawyer. I think I'm going to cut it there. But be sure that that letter of administration is not void in itself. Because if it is void and you bought a land premised on that the land devolved on the person through the letter of administration, when the court has to set aside that judgment, every other transaction done pursuant to that letter of administration is void in itself. That is why I said from the very beginning that nothing can flow from a nullity. The next thing you want to know is, hold up. The right to own immovable properties in Nigeria invariably means lands. It's not absolute in itself. It is subject to certain qualifications, conditions, and requirements, of which we will be dissecting in this segment of Lawyer Series here on YouTube. If there's any other thing I also want to take away from this topic is that from the very beginning, before you even think of purchasing a land, please get a lawyer. Get a lawyer that knows what he or she is doing in terms of the law. Help you investigate title. There are different things that has to do with investigation and inspection that the lawyer would do. It is cheaper for you in the long run than having to go through a lifetime of land disputed battles with lawyers, because in the end you will spend times 10 of what you would have paid your lawyer from the very onset. If you're getting a family land and it goes into dispute, there are two things that are involved. One, either it could be void, or two, it could be voidable. So one, when I'm talking about void, it's a nullity from the very onset. There was nothing that happened. So every other thing that you think happened never happened in the eyes of the law. That's how, what I mean by void, it means that in the eyes of the law, nothing happened. Do you understand? What I mean by void, if you get a family land and that land is actually stated to be family land, and the head of the family is unaware or does not authorize such sale, does not even assent to it, does not execute it for you, then that land, that sale, that transaction is a nullity in itself. But if you get a land from the family head himself without the principal members of the family being assenting or consenting to such sale, that is voidable. Your safest bet is to get a family land where the head of the family and the principal members of the family assent or agree or confirm to sell that land to you. When these two things, or when these two elements come together, you have a valid transaction that could stand the test of time, that outshines every other title or every other interest over that land against you. Now, when you're buying from a company, please, if it's a public company, ensure that a resolution is like an agreement, but it's called the resolution because it's the company's resolve, validating the sale of that property or that land to you. A company in the eyes of the law is a separate entity, is a separate individual. Now, like you have me, I am Jane, I am Z. I am Z before the eyes of the law. Then you have this company. You have this company, ABC company. This is another entity, another individual in the eyes of the law. So this person is separate from me. Even if I own 90% shares in this company is still different from me. Now, when you're buying for the company, ensure there's a resolution to that and that you have the company's seal on it. Every company should have a seal. Ensure that that seal is executed on that title document that is being given to you. Please do not buy because the person said, I am the chairman of the company, I am the MD of the company. No, ensure that you are buying from the company itself, because the principle of lifting the veil will not avail you in this instance. Because like I said, nothing flows from a nullity. If you're buying from Mr. AYZ of this company, it is not the company selling to you. Ensure that you are buying from 123 Limited or 124 Limited. Do you understand? Yes. I think these are the few points I just wanted to speak to you about on how to get lands that are free from any encumbrance. But like I said from the very beginning, please, if you're intending to get any property, any land or anything, ensure that you involve or you get a lawyer from the very beginning to help you with your process. It may not be me, it may not be me, it could be someone else. Fine and good. What I'm saying is get a good lawyer to ensure that you do not buy a curse. A lot of people, a lot of families have lost their loved ones to landed properties. Some people who would have been here now today, being alive, are dead because of one piece of land. Like I always say, you would go, he would go, but that land will always remain. So that land is not what your life, it's not what your family's life, it's not what your children's life. Ensure that you do the right thing. It might take a while, but in the end you will get the justice that you deserve. But there is a shorter route, that is doing the right thing and ensuring that you are buying from the right person. Another set of people are those that, for instance, this person has sold to you and has been sold to another person, and then because of this person that he sold to before, he now wants to exchange that land to another one. Please be sure to do a separate document, a separate title document to that one. Either your power of attorney or deed of assignment. Ensure you survey that new one that has been given to you. Do not think that that oral agreement is sufficient. No. Do not think that the old document that you've done before is sufficient for that land. Every piece of land has its own description when it comes to survey. So you have to be certain that you're doing something, because that is a different transaction altogether. So that other one cannot be used in place of that other one. It's even better for you because in your recital, you'll be able to state it so that when the other person messes up again, the law will see that person as a troublesome person and will know how to deal with it. So that when you're asking for damages, the law is able to give you a robust kind of damage, so that it would stand as a deterrence to people who keep doing this, because it's now becoming customary for people to sell one piece of land to 10 persons, which is wrong. It's criminal to do that. Okay, so I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you or tell you how to be free from any land dispute here in Nigeria, and to do the right thing, so that in the eyes of the law you are safe, and that the right to ownership of land in Nigeria is not infringed by anyone or by yourself. Because yes, you could do that to yourself when you go through mago way. You want to do mago and get land, see. So please go through the right source, get a lawyer, and do the right thing. Till I come your way next time, remember that I am Z and I love you. Bye.